Some of the code issues to be thinking about, one of them is the idea of the dead-end corridor. So dead-end corridor is essentially every building that you design in a kind of commercial setting will end up being something like there's a corridor and there's a stair at either end, right? So we've got stairs kind of at either end. That way, if somebody comes into that corridor and is in a panic and makes a decision to go to the left, they're going to find a stair to be able to get out. If they made that same panic decision and went to the right, they're going to find a stair and be able to get out. So the idea here is that there should always be an exit way, a stairway at the end, either a stair or a door directly out if you're on the ground floor, to be able to get out of the building. Now, not every building can you always have the stair or the door literally at the very, very end. And so there's a sort of a little bit of allowance to have a bit of corridor space that goes past that exit door. So that corridor that's going past, that's referred to as a dead-end corridor. And they're saying 20 foot is the maximum. Now, when you actually read the code on your actual exam, you should make sure that they're using the same numbers. My guess is the code will always be the same, essentially, but you should always read through it to make sure, because they could change it. They could say 30 feet, or they could say 10 feet, or something, and they have changed things in the past at different points, so it's worth going through it. But my guess is it's going to be 20 feet. So that means that if somebody's kind of exiting this way and they missed that stair, they would go way down to the end here before they realized there wasn't an exit to get back. And so this, man, that looks longer than 20 feet to me. So first of all, I could find a bunch of different ways to fix this as an issue. One is, instead of having that door there, maybe I put the door there so it's a little closer to the end. Maybe I put this door over here so that I'm less than 20. And if I don't need this corridor to go any farther, maybe I just end the corridor, right? So there's lots of ways you can deal with these things. It's not, we're not talking about very complicated ideas, but that's one of the code issues. You can't go longer than 20 feet. Another code issue you're going to find, I believe I have it on the next, is this idea that they really like the fact that you exit straight from the stairwell. So on the ground floor, one of the ways out should be people from the corridor on the first floor are going to be able to exit through the stair and then go right straight to the outside. So that means that door wants to be on the outside. Not internal, like you're not exiting into the corridor to go into the lobby to go outside. They want you to be able to exit straight to the outside from that stairwell. So that has implication onto where you can put the stairs. That's an important thing to remember. And then kind of while we're looking at that, one of the things you realize is that all the egress doors, this is not all the doors, this is just all the doors that are categorized as egress doors, will swing in the direction of egress. So in this particular example, if this is a stairwell on the ground floor, and this is the corridor on the ground floor, if I'm exiting from the first floor, I would want to be able to go into the stairwell, so the door swings in the direction of into the stairwell, and then I'd want to be able to exit straight out of that to the outside, and so the door swings straight to the outside. It's swinging in the direction of the flow of egress. If I'm coming down the stairs, and I'm going into the ground floor, well, that would be a situation that is not an egress situation, because if it's a fire or there's a panic and it's an egress situation, I'm not going to go into the building, I'm going to go straight out, which means my swing out is going to work. So it's okay for the door to swing in to that stairwell on that first floor. So you start seeing very quickly that it gets a little complicated, but not terribly complicated. Just follow that rule. The egress doors swing in the direction of egress. That will show up on all the doors that are considered egress doors. Any typical office door or classroom door or anything like that, those doors all swing into the room. They are not considered egress doors. With the one exception. When we look at the program, you'll notice that there's going to be one big room. in that one big room, whether it's the reading room or the gymnasium or whatever it is going to require 2 doors. It's going to be large enough that the occupancy would require you to have more than 1 exit door. The sheer fact of that makes those 2 doors egress doors because it's bumped up above the amount of occupancy that so it now means it's considered anything exiting out of that space is considered an egress process. So all these other doors are all swinging in to the rooms, but this big room, the doors are swinging out into the corridor. Now, how close can they be? This is one of those little code rules. There's this kind of interesting idea of the diagonal of the overall space, and I take half of that distance, and that half of that distance, as long as the doors are farther apart than that half of the diagonal, you're fine. Those are far enough apart from each other. They obviously don't want the doors to be right next to each other because if there was then a problem, you wouldn't be able to get away from it.
So we do have one question here from Ryan. He's asking, can the door be on the right side if up against the property line, go into the stairwell, turn right?
On the right side, can you say that again for me?
Can the door be on the right side if up against the property line?
Oh, like I'm assuming he's referring to this door right here. If the property line is right there, that cannot happen. So it's really, I was going to get to that a little bit later, but we can do it right now. If that is the property line right there, you cannot have a door swing over the property line. You don't have control over that space. If it's swinging over onto a sidewalk, it's potentially dangerous. So it's not that you can therefore, well, okay, I'm going to let that door swing in. Because you can't just change the egress because of the property line location. You would actually have to shift the building in order to have enough space to swing that door out there. And that is something that could happen to you. More likely, the property line is actually going to be somewhere out here. And this line is probably a building limit line, which is more of a zoning line. And the door can, in fact, swing over a building limit line. It just can't swing over the property line. So just kind of back to the big room with the 2 doors. So as long as they're far enough apart that there's more than halfway, they're fine. It could also be that both are going into the corridor. It could also be that one is going into the corridor and one is going to the directly to the outside. So it doesn't have to be always to the corridor. It could also be one to the outside. It can't be that both go to the outside because obviously you need to be able to get into the room from the corridor.
Dana is asking, can the second exit from the large space be directly to the exterior?
Yes, and that's what I was just going through. So yes, you can absolutely have it be going to the exterior. However, be careful, if this is the one door right here that I'm using to go to the corridor, and then I do the other one going to the exterior here, first of all, it's swinging out, so the same issue we just talked about, property lines over there, same issue you gotta be a little careful of over here. But also, if I did it in the location right here, that far apart from each other, that probably meets the diagonal rule, but it's close. So you would want to make sure that you didn't put it here, you'd want to move it over somewhere over there, so you made sure that you were meeting, that those 2 doors were far enough apart from each other. And this is one of those things that you are not making a design. Remember, this is a puzzle. So it's not about making it the kind of most pleasant entrance into a room or anything like that. It is really just dealing with these puzzle rules, and this is one of those puzzle rules, is make sure it's working for you.